Hi folks, welcome to RJA Impact. Today we're going to be bringing you up to date with the goings on in the Paul Flores, Ruben Flores, Kristin Smart murder case. Following jury selection, this was the week that the case really got properly underway with opening arguments made by the attorneys. As a reminder, the trial is in connection with the 1996 disappearance of Kristin Smart, a Cal Poly freshman who disappeared after an off-campus party in May 1996. Ruben, 81, and Paul, 45, Flores, father and son, are accused of murder in the case of Paul and as an accessory in the case of Ruben, in that he helped conceal Kristin Smart's body. They were arrested on the 1st of April 2021. One small point before I get into things about the week. The courtroom is packed. There is a lot of attention being paid to this case and people are being turned away if they don't turn up in time to get allocated tickets. So, as we said, on Monday this week, that's the 18th of July 2022, opening arguments got underway with statements for Paul Flores. There was a delay midweek of 2 days for health reasons, and we don't know if this is in connection with one of the jurors, court officials, Ruben or Paul. It was unspecified, although I will point out that Ruben has recently had triple bypass heart surgery, so that may be connected. I don't know. Between the arguments for Paul and Ruben, Paul's jury were ushered out of the courtroom and Ruben's ushered in, as they each have their own jury in court. So to paint the picture of how things started, after everyone had assembled in the courtroom, Monterey County Superior Court Judge Jennifer O'Keefe spent approximately 20 minutes taking the jury through their instructions. Following then a brief recess, we had Deputy District Attorney Chris Puvrell for the prosecution begin. His first statement was quite powerful. It has been 1,359 Sundays since Smart went missing. Now this was a reminder that Kristin had the weekly tradition of calling her parents each Sunday for a call-in and update. When she failed to call on Monday, May the 26th, 1996, it was their first indication that something was wrong. He took another 90 minutes introducing the witnesses that will testify and what statements they will make. For example, evidence of soil samples that tested positive for blood at Ruben's home, and he said that this was just about a perfect place to hide a body. He spoke about numerous inconsistencies that Paul had made to police after Kristin disappeared. I expect you to find the defendant Paul Flores guilty of murdering Kristin Smart, he wrapped up by saying. We then had Sanger for the defence. He said he will question the credentials of the dog handlers and scientists that the prosecution used to collect evidence. This is obviously a tragic situation, but there is no evidence of what happened to her, he said. He talked extensively about the podcaster, who he didn't mention by name, but we know is Chris Lambert, author of Your Own Backyard. Apparently Chris had been given information by law enforcement in an attempt to provoke statements by the Flores family, who at that time were being wiretapped by the police. He pointed to other sting operations performed over the years, including putting an informant in the Santa Barbara County main jail many years ago. Paul has been the victim of a concerted media campaign from the very beginning to paint him as the killer, Sanger said. He's going to question the honesty of one witness, Jennifer Hudson, who is scheduled to testify. Now she said that Flores confessed that he killed Smart to her in the summer of 1996. To tie it up, he said, I will ask you to find Paul not guilty. Ruben's attorney, Harold Messick, presented the opening arguments on his behalf, saying that the case is tragic for the Smart family, but there is no evidence to convict Ruben. He made the point that for the past 26 years he has had people throwing things at his house, being chased out of restaurants, and has been harassed in the community. There were 3 key points that he said he was going to make to undermine the prosecution's case. Firstly, Kristin Smart's father went to the Flores home and confronted Paul and Ruben in the driveway, even though he was told not to. Now the prosecution state that the story happened the other way around. We heard that Smart's mother had sent a Jesus letter to Kristin at one point, but that this was sarcastic in tone. I guess this is going to be a subtle way to try to undermine Smart's character. Now apparently on this point, Denise, who is Smart's mother, has previously said that it was a buckle up buttercup letter, saying that sometimes parents need to be parents. The DA issuing evidence and events incorrectly is an improper way to incriminate Ruben, he said. We heard about the soil under the home that's going to be used as evidence by the prosecution. Well, this was just decomposing organic material, as the house had previously had avocado trees at that point before Ruben bought it in 1991. The night that she went missing and the prosecution's take on this doesn't make sense either. Paul taking Kristin's dead body in the middle of the day, loading it onto a truck and burying it with Ruben. There's no evidence of DNA, bones, clothes or teeth. There has to be more evidence because in this case there is no evidence, he said. Everything is ambiguous. He pointed to Ruben's character. He had volunteered with the Redondo Beach Police. He'd served with the military. This is a good man. This is a good father. This is a good husband, he said. My client is absolutely innocent. Don't be fooled, be sceptical. At the end of the day, Kristin Smart is missing, and we don't know where she is. Messick then addressed an accusation that Ruben was unaccounted for during Memorial Day weekend in 1996, when Kristin went missing, and offered a timeline of Ruben's whereabouts during that time. He also criticised the so-called treasure trove of Kristin Smart memorabilia the prosecution said was found in Ruben's home, saying in his eyes it was mostly hate mail from the Smart family. So after all that had wrapped up, we had our first witness on the stand, Denise Smart. She got to the stand on Thursday and is Kristin's mother. The very first actual thing she said as she sat down on the stand was, "Just breathe," hanky in hand, and she appeared to brace herself for yet another ordeal in this 26-year saga. So she testified that she kept in regular contact with Kristin, and Kristin would call at any time when she ran out of money. Her daughter never missed school for any extended period of time. Now the last time she saw Kristin was following a trip from LA to Stockton, where they made a stop at the Cal Poly. Kristin seemed thrilled to see them. And the last time she spoke was on the Sunday before Kristin disappeared, and Kristin had said at that time the Poly wasn't a fit for her. She then described trying to get information from the local law when Kristin initially went missing. She got the runaround. I felt like the life of my daughter was of no value to anybody but her family, she said, crying. Sanger for the defence then stepped up. Not everything was rosy before Kristin went to SLO, was it? That's St. Louis Obispo. Did she go off without permission to any place when she worked in Hawaii during the previous summer? Denise says she wasn't there with her. A bit of a kick to Sanger when Pouvrel objects on hearsay, relevance and 402 grounds, and the judge sustains the objection. On what grounds is it given? Sanger asked the judge. All of them, came the dry reply. Messick for the defence stood up. He questioned Smart extensively about the letter she wrote to her daughter. She acknowledged that she was concerned Kristin might be having some academic problems and warned her daughter not to make choices with negative financial and personal outcomes. It's a good letter, excellent penmanship, only a few spelling errors, that's okay. And after this statement, one of the jurors actually gasped. When Smart testified she didn't remember much from May 1996, Messick said, "We're trying to get the truth out of you, and it's like pulling teeth, but that's okay." Denise was asked about reported sightings of Kristin. She testified that she has received many tips from Las Vegas to Florida. Sanger, for the defence, also questioned Smart again on the letter and pointed out a part where Denise said Kristin had lied hundreds of times and asked if one of those lies was allegedly flying to a different island in Hawaii during her camping trips. Denise didn't know. Later on Thursday we had Matt Smart, Kristin's brother, take the stand. He described how tight-knit the family were and became somewhat defensive when Sanger had multiple objections and questions on his statements. His testimony was actually quite poignant, and he described how his sister was driven and creative, and she had a dream for a future in architecture. When she wanted something, She got it done always, he testified. It's inescapable daily, the void that's left when an individual you literally travelled the world with is just gone, and you're left with the memories of the joy you had when you were together, he continued. He said how his family went on countless searches for Kristin. Now Messick on cross-examination went in quite hard and said he felt he had to drag answers out of Matt. The courtroom was quite tense during those exchanges. Do you have any direct knowledge of what happened to your sister? Matt was asked. No direct knowledge, only that I haven't seen or heard from her since 1996. Stan Smart. Kristin's father told the court about the 3 months he spent in San Luis Obispo County following Kristin's disappearance. He said he led searches to find his daughter or her remains, followed up on tips and interviewed people. The prosecution questioned Stan about why he drove to Ruben Flores' home in Arroyo Grande shortly after Kristin went missing. Stan said he did it after learning that Paul was the last person to be seen with his daughter, and testified that he had stayed in his car, but said Ruben told him to leave because someone could get shot. He spoke to about 1,000 people during the search for Kristin, he said. Hoover also asked, did you ever see the defendants, Paul and Ruben Flores, out looking for your daughter? No, was the simple response. Sanger stood up for the defence and asked about some what would appear to be minor points. Did Kristin weigh 160 pounds in the spring of 1996, and not the 145 on the billboards? I don't know. I don't keep track of my children by their weight, Stan replied. Was he aware that when he visited Ruben's home that it was well distributed by the media that Paul Flores was the focus of the investigation? I was just aware he was the parent of the youngster my daughter walked home with, he replied. He learned about Paul Flores when cadaver dogs alerted to his dorm room during a search. Was he there? No, but he was at Cal Poly at the time. What about the time when he drove by Ruben Flores' house in the summer of 1996 and there was a U-Haul truck there? I saw they were loading a U-Haul and I was missing a daughter. I was concerned that they were moving some things and leaving the area. Sanger asked Stan if a reporter was with him, and Stan doesn't recall this. Everyone in your family has answered questions in this way. Did a witness coordinator instruct you to say that you don't remember? They did not, Stan replied. Did you ever refer to Kristin as a piano wire, stretched very tight, in other words? Stan didn't. We then had Messick for Ruben's defence, who asked about the U-Haul loading. Why would it make him nervous? It made me very nervous. You were not in my shoes, Stan replied. The attorney said that he didn't think Stan was being very friendly, and Stan replied by saying that the attorney was very argumentative. Now, as a general comment before I wrap up, the Smarts so far have not been treated with kid gloves by the defence, who have poked and prodded them about the smallest inconsistencies, as you've heard. Is this going to be a tactic they continue to employ during the trial? It would seem high risk to me. After all, we've already heard one juror react to harsh questioning. I'm not sure what you think on this. Well, that's it for the first week of testimony, including the opening arguments, and I hope you found this informative. If you hit the like and subscribe button, that would help enormously, and if you ding that notification bell, then you won't miss out on future updates on this trial and other videos as they're published. Bye for now.